Thanks for coming today. Obviously no game, which is disappointing for the second week. But Dave's taken this opportunity to meet you, answer any questions you might have. We had a session all earlier in the season when Matty was here, which was very well supported. Thank you. So it really is just an open forum today. There's no preconceived questions or anything. It's up to you guys what you want to ask Dave, what you want to think about the current situation, where we're going, what we're doing. We'll answer openly and honestly. Okay. So fire away. Do you want to say anything first, Dave? Or?
Yeah, no, listen. What I would say is, listen, thank you for coming because you care, and that's what we all do. Whether you're a director, whether you're part of the management or you support us, we're all in it together. As far as I'm concerned, we all want to see Stafford Rangers successful. It isn't going to happen overnight, but listen, I thank you for your time to come, and you can fire as many questions as me. I'm an open book. So
I'm happy to open.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Right, first of all, how's the hip coming on?
Yeah, that's fine. That'll be fine.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll be playing this season. But, no, it's getting there. Thank you.
Yeah, good. You know, we go back a long way in our young football days.
Yeah.
My question really is about the recruitment of players, and I've just put some notes down here. Since you've arrived, a lot of players have been in and out, which is understandable. That's the way football is, and the situation we're in. You have brought in experienced players, Sean, for example, and AJ, experienced players, plus the experience you've got at the club, Nathan, Cam, etc. And I appreciate at this point in the season, and it's not about the pretty football, it's about grinding out results on the pitch, and that experience comes to the fore. The question I've got really is two-part really. You've also brought in a number of young players, loan players for a month or to end the season, Stoke, Port Vale, etc. And my question partly is, what are these players contributing to this battle for relegation currently, when we know it's experienced heads that may or may not get us out of trouble? I accept there's obviously budget restrictions on players coming in and out, but I just wanted to ask yourself, Dave, what is the policy, if you like, of bringing these players on? Are they really contributing to the club, and are we there yet at the end of the situation where we're bringing more players, experienced or not?
I think what I will say on this, if you're a full-time club and you get your squad together and every player is under contract, and not every player works, whether you've been Alex Ferguson, whatever manager, some players do not have a perfect fit for a club, and they might have to go somewhere else and catch fire again. The beauty of non-league is that, and let's say Stafford, all the teams in this league, most clubs will carry 6 contract players, and for those of you that don't understand contract and non-contract, is contract players are contracted at this football club for 12 months. Now if they're a young player and they're contracted and they're doing well, clubs can come and bid money or whatever, but at least you've got them players. So, and then the rest are made up as non-contract. So if they don't catch fire, or they're not doing it for some reason, or if they're doing well, you try and offer them a contract. That's how it works. So there's more movement in non-league. That's why we don't have windows, transfer windows where you can. So there's always a surplus players, but the surplus of players have got to be right for the football club. Now, I think in a football team, the blend, young and old, you get the right blend that you can find, and you go on. Unfortunately, when you come into a club that's near the bottom of the league, there's a lot of players out there that would choose to go to Hyde United or Warrington Rylands. Forget the money now, they look at the league table. Agents look when they have these players, and they look and they say, well, Stafford Rangers are struggling at the moment. We've had an enquiry, but we think we can get you to a better club. a better club, meaning that they're a club higher up in the league. So it is difficult. But I've got a lot of contacts with all these football league clubs and clubs above in the National League and whatever. And my phone has probably been the hottest phone in Staffordshire in the last few months. And you're talking, and every agent that you speak to, their players are the best thing since sliced bread. Every manager that you speak to that maybe wants to get a player out, they're better than what they are. So it's a case of going to watch games when we haven't got a game. It's a case of speaking to other people. And for an example, when we went to Warrington Islands and we lost 7-2, and the same as at Marine when they beat us 4-0, I think 1 to 11 of their players were better than ours. Okay? And that Sabibi, was it, that played for Warrington Islands, who actually was playing in the Northwest Counties the year before, has just gone to St Johnson for £100,000. Now, a blind man would have told you how good he was on the day. And I actually said, all my time managing at this level, I've never seen a player as good as a striker. So some of these clubs have had that head start, certainly on me and on Stafford Rangers. And unfortunately, our recruitment hasn't been as good for when I came in. And I'm not saying that the players that I brought in have caught fire at times, and the younger players that the kid that we just got in from Stockport who only played half a game, Dave Challoner said, look, I think he'd be good enough for this level, but you'll have to make your own mind up. Whereas the two previous lads from Stockport that I think Matty brought in, Sam Bird was one, he got better and better when I come in. We had great chats with him, we moved him into midfield because he got so much. And it was unfortunate that his loan period ended and he's gone to play up in Scotland. Because although these lads are on loan, their heart is in their bigger club. So although they've given 110% to Stafford Rangers when they've been here, ideally we would like 16 players that are committed to Stafford Rangers. But unfortunately at this moment in time, we can't. We're going to have to go into the loan market, which we have done in the last couple of weeks. But they're better players that initially that we've got in and around the club.
Okay. Well, does the recruitment drive continue till the end of the season?
You're always recruiting. You're always looking at players and games. Even if we were top of the league, we'd be looking to get better players in. You know, it wouldn't be as it wouldn't be as so immediate. It wouldn't be so, but you're always looking for that better player. And if we were in the playoffs now, and I'm sure the board would back me by saying, if I went to them there and said, look, there's a player available at a higher level that could be the difference between us getting promoted and not getting promoted, I'm sure they would go with it, you know. So that's where we are. We're always looking to recruit. We're always looking, and we're getting a better picture as each week comes along. But listen, we're in a relegation dogfight, and we've got to do our utmost to finish above the 3 teams that are with us.
Okay, thank you.
Is that all right?
Yes, fine.
I'll have a go.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've just been talking about we're in the relegation dogfight. Do you think you've got the squad right now to keep us up into this league?
I think the squad will be stronger now for these 3 players that we signed. I think that will give us a better chance. But again, if there's 2 more players available in another week's time, then we'll go for them as well. The squad's definitely stronger than it was when I first come in, and it will continue to be strong. I know last week 2 of them teams won. The biggest thing for me was a Basford one. If they'd have won, that would have again looked. That would have been 9 points, but now it's 6 points, and we've got a game in hand. But we'd all rather have the points, than the games, but if we're still in touch, and that's what we've got to be in touch all the way to the end of the season.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I mean, just working on the glass half full perspective, and
Yeah.
you know, hopefully we get to the end of the season, we're all sort of whistling the tune of the Great Escape and looking forward to the next season. What are you going to do in the close season that is different to try and ensure that we're not sitting here 12 months down the line looking at a similar position? What do you think you can change? What's your strategy in that close season to actually address some of the issues that you've obviously recognised this season?
Well, I'll be honest with you, I watched Stafford play against Hamley Town in the pre-season, and without having to go at Matty or anybody else, and this was only my opinion at the time, and you can't take a lot on pre-season games, so you know it's. I didn't think the squad had improved, and you'd lost one or two influential players. You know, one or two players were injured that would have been big players. Tonks who was worthy of 15, 20 goals with his throw-ins. He was out of the team. So I actually thought, you know, I don't think Stafford will finish higher than the top half, and that was only my opinion, by the way, seeing them on one or two games. So to go pre-season, we have got to get. I would think this current squad, there will be 6, possibly 7 players that I think will be good enough. So there's got to be a recruitment of another 10 players that have got to be 10 good players. Now, out of them 10, you will probably say 8, and you might take a chance on two younger players. I think there's a current 2 or 3 young players that are playing for the under-21s. Look, it's a massive gap, but how I've always worked, and I'll just throw a name, say young Fletcher, who I've liked. He's got a lot of pace. He's got so much desire for the club. I think he's Stafford Rangers through and through. That's all he wants to do is play for Stafford Rangers. If he has a good pre-season and he's just not ready yet, he would go out on loan to maybe a team a couple of leagues below, play men's football, but we keep an eye on him, and hopefully he'd be coming back in 2 or 3 months to be part of the squad. That's how I work as a manager. But you can't beat seasoned campaigners that have played at this level or above, players that are getting released from Football League clubs that would come in and you know that they're at this level.
So the first point then is recruitment of
Recruitment at any football club is the most important.
Okay. And bearing in mind, in order to achieve that, what do you think we need? Have we got, you know, the setup that you're currently working within, with all those requirements and restrictions? Is there a capacity to get that extra 60% of the squad in that will play to the setup that you believe that can win games?
Without a shadow of a doubt. This club is, and I don't want to have a go at Nantwich or Whitton or teams in this league. This club setup is better than the majority of the teams in our league. You know, Ashton United, all them clubs, we're head and shoulders above them.
And what do you mean by setup?
I just think the fan base,
yeah,
the infrastructure of the place, I just think it's a million miles better than run off the pitch. You know, I don't want to but what Andy's done for me since I came in with getting players signed and getting everything, I don't have to ring Andy a day later, or we just got a lad through from international clearance, and everything's done spot on. Everything is 100% right at this club, whereas other clubs, you know, it's like raggy arse rovers. You know, they're not organised. And we at Stafford Rangers, it's 100%. So
I mean, that's good to hear, because I think we're all, you know, we're critical sometimes of the setup generally, not just in the football team, but in the overall setup, which you're saying is not, some people's perceptions is not always correct. But I mean, are you clearly saying that you think with the right recruitment within the current budgetary requirements and everything else, you can change a team that, you know, started the season in a poor way and then went downhill, and change that in the way that you set up, the way that you're going to set these guys up to play?
the budget isn't a problem. Nothing is a problem at this football club. It'll be down to me, on my shoulders, to get the recruitment right. And I know I can. If there's one thing that I can do, I can tell a player. You know, I've brought a lot of players through in my time that have gone on and played in the football league. You know, there's one or two that you might have to say, well, perhaps we need to give him a bit more time. And like I just said to you over, say, someone like Fletcher, potentially he could be a great striker. He's a young lad, he's keen, but we've got to nurture him in the right way to get him to our level, you know?
So are you saying, I'm going to just keep on this track, because I think it's something that crops up constantly on social media and fans ask the questions. Are you saying fundamentally, although there's a benchmark, but budget isn't the answer to the problem on the pitch?
No.
I mean, I think that would be quite a shock for a lot of people, because it constantly looks at, you know, when you look at I had a quick look at the top 6 this morning, and it's extremely difficult to tell the financial picture of those clubs, because it's smoke and mirrors in terms of how they're set up. They're either set up as community interest companies, some of them are set up as community charity companies. The picture isn't clear, but certainly there's 3 out of that top 6 where financially they're not sitting, even though we know our finances aren't fantastic, but they're not sitting in the same way. You're looking at clubs that are constantly posting losses, you're looking at companies and clubs that have limited financial net worth, which it doesn't reflect what we have, and we know the problems that we have here. So I think that's quite a breath of fresh air, actually, if you're saying that, you know, it's fundamentally, we're in the ballpark in terms of what we need to put a team onto that pitch, and it's down to how we manage those people, getting the right people, and how we knit them together as a team, I think is what you're saying.
I think when you say about the teams that are at the top of the league, and let's say Macclesfield, and their budget will be 3 times ours probably. Radcliffe, again, their budget.
But again, Dave, we don't know it, do we? Because when you look at the financials of Macclesfield Town at the moment, I mean, it is smoke and mirrors. Their chairman came out and said in their last financials, which were put in September, I think, that they're sitting in a very healthy financial position. It's impossible to tell that on the numbers there, and there must be a way of tracking those financial pictures. But it is smoke and mirrors in this league, and I'm sure, you know, up and down, so the clarity isn't there in terms of what these places that are paying.
Let's look at their fan base. Let's say that their average gate is 3,500. So they've got to be bringing some money in. Now, I don't know if they've got loans to pay or what they've got to do, and the commitments, and do they own their own ground, or what. I couldn't answer that question. All I'm saying is they must have a surplus amount of money, and although doesn't matter what your budget is, it doesn't guarantee your success, because Macclesfield actually thought, you know, and maybe we all did, thought that they were going to win the league. Radcliffe, I know, made some great signings in the summer, the 2 managers and the players that they got, seasoned players that had done really well in this league. And they've taken the league by storm. I can't see anybody beating Radcliffe. If you go back a couple of years when South Shields were in our league and they went full time, and it was branded about that their weekly wage bill was 30 grand a week. Now, whether you're Stafford Rangers, whether you're Macclesfield Town, I think you've got no chance of competing with them clubs. So I think the best thing for the league would be they win the league and they get out of the league, because we're never ever going to compete with them. I wanted South Shields to win the league every time I was at Nantwich, because you knew whoever finished above South Shields would win the league. But it was like when Salford come in, when the Nevilles were, they were always going to go to the Football League. Fylde were the same. When their multi-millionaire owner came in at Fylde, they were always going to fly through the leagues, because they were paying 3 or 4 times the wages which any other club in the league could pay. So, although I'm looking forward to playing Macclesfield, because I think it'll be a great game. They're going to bring a lot of fans, and it's football-wise. But if Macclesfield are paying that amount of money, I think it puts pressure on everybody else. However, that's football, that's sport. You know, I've gone to South Shields with Nantwich and we won 4-1, because that's the beauty of sport. But in an ideal world, it isn't really a level playing ground, because they're so wealthy.
Yeah,
and that's
there's lots of clubs over the period that have been sort of held up as the pinnacle of this is what we should aim for, and this is the setup. And you look at an FCUM at the moment, you know,
Yeah.
which were, you know, held up by a few people to be that's the way we should be doing things, and now they're sitting 3 or 4 places above us. So it's not the answer to everything, but as part of your answer, because I think we do become sort of very self-critical at times, and there's lots of things we want to do better, but fundamentally you're saying with your experience that the setup we've got here is as good as any.
Yeah,
Yep.
without a question.
And the fact of putting a competitive team on the pitch, which is what fans want to see in terms of enjoyable football and winning football and getting numbers in, because we know winning football actually puts people through the gates, which makes things a little bit easier, then we can do so within the type of model that you're working with at the moment.
Yeah.
And I think that...
I mean, the clubs that I've mentioned, and let's say Ashton United, I think their average gate's 200.
Yeah.
If they were at top of the league, their average gate would probably be 280. If Stafford Rangers were top of the league, I think we'd be over 1,000.
Well, there's some of these clubs that are just not sustainable going forward, isn't it? And that's the problem with the league, because, you know, potentially you could have someone who's got a sugar mummy, sugar daddy throwing money at it, but you've got a very small fan base, so it isn't sustainable as they get promoted anyway.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a short-lived thing, and they'll be back down, and then
Yeah, exactly.
they'll be going bust.
Exactly.
Well, that's happened before, clubs going bust.
Well, you look at a lot of the top 6. And
Shoreline Aquaforce was one. Their own.
But I think, Dave, when you're going back to your question about how do we know about other clubs' budgets and whatever, the biggest people who talk are players, because they have played with some of our lads.
Yeah.
I mean, we know when we played Radcliffe away, and we had them at 1-0 in 7 minutes, and second half, for lads who were there, we were 3-1 down, but we really had a right go at second half. But, you know, one of their strikers played with Jake Maltz at Altrincham 2 seasons ago, and was quite open with Jake Maltz to say Radcliffe will pay him £1,000 a week. Right? We've just recently, Dave and I, been trying to sign a centre-half, actually, who's surplus to requirements at Macclesfield.
Yeah.
Now, the message that came out from Robbie Savage to us was, you can come to you, there's 2 ways he comes to you. Either you take him on loan for his 100% of his salary, plus national insurance contribution, plus VAT. Yeah. So the first question I ask is, what's he earning per week? £550 as a surplus centre-half, not even getting in their side. But if you want to buy him, Andy, we'll sell him to you for 10 grand.
No one likes Robbie Savage anyway.
So no, that's where they're moving with their squad at the moment, their belief. I mean, Macclesfield actually...
But they're a non-starter, aren't they?
Yeah.
So again, what I was trying to get at, Dave, was a simple principle that, you know, we've got to either be confident that if we do retain our position, what do we need to do going forward, whether that's a change of tactics, whether the team hasn't been set up in the way in which you'd like to play next season, and now we're going to do that. And in terms of recruitment, can we recruit the type of players, and I think you're saying it is, without trying to reinvent a completely know that is not an easy thing to do, and we're already under pressure anyway. You know, everyone's aware of the shareholders of the club. The picture of the last year, we've got another AGM coming up this year, and I think what I'm surprised when you say that, you know, we can produce a team that's competitive and sustainable within the club framework that we've got at a level that we're currently at. Despite the fact, I hear what you're saying, Andy, in terms of, you know, there's always going to be someone who wants a 10 grand transfer fee and this, that and the other, but we're not in that market, are we?
No. We've got a shop elsewhere. However, just going back to the Radcliffe thing, when the players that they signed, let's say Jordan Hume, who has been a top striker at a higher level than this, he signs for Radcliffe. The managers have done their work. Josh Hancock, another player. The players that they brought in, to be honest with you, forget the coaching, forget whatever. You put them 11 players on that they've got, they're going to win more football matches than what they're going to lose. So you can't beat experience, but if I could hand pick, I know the players that would be good enough for Stafford Rangers. I know there's 5 or 6, maybe 7 at this moment in time that would get in most teams in the league. But it's finding them others, and obviously this moment in time, it's finding them others and, you know, giving us a chance. Which, look, the 2 or 3 players we signed recently, what we're going to do, will give us a better chance of surviving.
Carrying on from that question, say the worst thing happens, we go down. How many of them players do you think you'll keep hold of?
Good question. That is something that me and Andy spoke about this week, that we need to speak to the players that we want to keep, how much committed they are to Stafford Rangers. I mean, there's a few that are on contract anyway that we've got an option on, isn't there?
We've got no options on.
We've got no. I think, yeah, I've got to speak to a few of them players in the next 2 or 3 weeks. I've got to pick my time, the right time, and the right time will be when we've won a football match, because, you know, everybody's a little bit happier with the situation and all that. But I've got to say this, all the players have bought into everything that we've tried to do, and there's 1 or 2 players that haven't and haven't shown the commitment, and there's 1 or 2 that have gone out, there's 1 or 2 that we're trying to get out and can't get out due to a contract, and they either roll with us or they don't. And if them that aren't particularly sulking because they're not in the team or not, then they won't be at this football club.
Yeah, I've got a question and that's following on that. At the end of last season, we played South Shields over, I think, on the last game. I think we won 3-0 from memory. Because of injuries at the back, Andy Burns played centre half. Talked well, dropped off Ethan, picked the pieces up, controlled the game really from the back there. So what about bringing young lads into the team? I think it's far easier to bring young lads in at right back or left back than what it is bringing a young lad in at centre half, because very difficult physical game, etc. So is there a possibility or a thought that Andy Burns could play as centre half and then to replace him as a right back, to bring a loanee in at right back instead of bringing a loanee at centre half?
I think you should have my job, because that's exactly, well, I couldn't agree with you 110%. Andy Burns, we played a system, and I'll give Dale credit on this to start with, when we played 3-5-2, and we're going to go back to that system. Andy Burns has played his best football there, in my opinion. And just as things have been, because Jake Moulton's left the club, we're going to do that, and the lad that we signed from Alton will play on the right side of the wing back, and the left back, hopefully the international clearance and whatever's through, will play on the left hand side, who's just been released from Swansea. So I agree with you 100%.
Good.
And because Andy Burns is, if we had 11 Andy Burns, we would win this league. Simple as that. Because he's a warrior, he gives 110% for the club. I think he'd play with a broken leg, and I hope his enthusiasm runs off on everybody else. If you saw him in training, I'm like this because I'm thinking, don't kick your own teammates, they've got to be playing on the Saturday. But Andy Burns sees that ball, he's 110% committed.
Dave?
One positive we've got here is the social club. Now, obviously when we had the lockdown, we lost all the income from the social club. As I understand it now, the room bookings are flying, they're taking off regularly, and the directors will confirm this, I'm sure. Some weekends, all 3 function rooms are booked up. Now that is going to be generating more income, surely, for the club, that will help to fund the playing budget for the football.
Listen, I'm happy with the budget. I've worked at less budgets. I know, you know, I would not want this board to chuck money at a league that I don't think's worth.
I'm not saying.
No, I understand that.
Yeah.
And listen, the more it's like any of us are personal. If you can put money in the bank, it always gives you that breathing space. And the point I was making, if I was coming to the board now and we're in the playoffs and I'm saying, there's this striker available, could you give me an extra £500? It might be the difference. I think they would agree to that.
Yeah.
You know, that's to me, that's what money is.
Have like an emergency budget
available
for players.
You know, the board look after that side. I will do my best on the football side.
Yeah.
But I appreciate. Listen, it's great. Everybody wants to see the place busy.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to see more people through the turnstile. But we've got to get a better team.
I think the other thing I'd like to add to that, Eric, because I'm director of football, but I'm also a board member as well,
Yeah.
is that I think, and this is not a reflection, I think, of the hard work the current board has put in, maybe previous boards or whatever, but there's been a lack of funding towards this social club, which has got into rack and ruin. So the extra income that the social club generates, I think as a board we have to sit down and we have to say, where is that money spent? And it can't all go to football, which it has historically, because to make this place if you like, a conferences and banqueting centre or something like that, which it is becoming now, we have to improve our audio visual, our Wi-Fi process to attract these businesses to come midweek when the club historically has been vacant, because that's where a lot of the extra income's coming in from.
Well, I believe the police use it for training.
The police do use it for training, the NHS use it for bloods, the council have used it, but they all have a minimum expectation, Eric, on the facilities that we can provide. And we have to reinvest in this facility to attract more business to come here and regularly use it.
But also you've got to, when the match is on, not forget the fans are now all booked out and they're all going to queue in the director's lounge a mile long and you're waiting, you know.
Yeah, but sometimes circumstances, I agree with you.
But just a thought of thinking about other options as well. If these are all going to be booked out, where can we make extra money by having a concession bar outside, perhaps?
That's already been considered as a ways to do that. I think the difficulty is we get a lot of people who want to book weekend fixed functions, make weddings for instance, maybe 18 months in advance, ahead of any fixture that's coming out, and you don't want to turn that potential income down.
It's just having that, thinking that next step on that we can have a concession bar outside, off the bar next to it, so it's not all, so we can make the best of both worlds.
Sure.
You can kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Well, all those things are regularly considered, you know, but again, I hate to say this, in the current predicament, you've always got to look at the cost of what extra cost is incurred to actually the revenue that will come in to replace it. But we have to consider that. I agree with you.
Dave, not going into sort of players' contracts and situations, but Nathan Blissett springs to mind here now. And Nathan's been around a long time, experienced player, physical player, but you seem currently to be bringing him on in the last 10 to 15 minutes when perhaps games to chase the game. Now, We know his attributes. He's a physical player. He unsettles defenders, but it means a direct approach to Nathan's abilities. So how do you see Nathan fitting? Clearly at present you see him as a sort of a substitute, bringing him on 10 to 15 minutes when perhaps the games are lost and we're chasing it. What's the sort of tactics and thinking behind
I
it?
mean, we play Kids Grove on Tuesday, and the shape of the team will be changed, and we're going to play 2 forwards. From now until the end of the season, we're going to play 2 forwards up top, because, listen, we haven't scored a goal in 4 games. You know, we know all the facts, we know all the... So, Nathan is... He hasn't given us one problem in the dressing room. You know, he's been fine, never misses training or whatever. He will start on Tuesday, but I look at the two strikers. I think Cayman, I'm talking to the 2 lads up top, I think Cayman is a must, you know, for the goals that he scored. Perhaps not as done as well the last 2 or 3 games, however, I think the service has been poor to him. So at this moment in time, my thinking is Cayman and another. So Bliss will start on Tuesday night, and then behind them 2 is Connor Heath, who can play down the middle, Tyrese and AJ. Any successful team that play with 2 forwards always have another 2 forwards that, let's say, Nathan and Cayman for 60 minutes, where the centre halves are here, there and everywhere, then you put fresh legs on, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my God. I've had the most success, and those big clubs have had with having them tactics. Nathan Blissett cannot afford, like any of the other forwards now, when they get the chance, not take it with both hands. Nathan Blissett does give us something different than anybody else with his aerial presence. The gauntlet has been laid down to him that he will play the first half on Tuesday night, which he will need game time anyway because he hasn't had a lot of minutes. But I've had a couple of chats with Nathan. One was like when we went to FC United, and he said, look, I was awful first half. He said, you weren't alone. However, we changed the system then, and we had some success with it for the next couple of games. Nathan, when he's come on, obviously he's got to be marked because he's such a big lad. I put him on, I think it was a minute to go when we were playing Basford, which was, we'd got a free kick, it was going to be the last throw of the dice, and you would rather have Nathan in the box to try and win a header than, let's say, my lad. So that was the thinking behind Nathan coming on. It wasn't, oh my God, what good's he going to do for 30 seconds? It was a case of, and it would have been exactly the other way. If we'd have been winning 1-0 and they've got a free kick in the box, you get as many big players on the pitch as you can just to head the ball away. So that's the thinking. So there's a challenge for Nathan there, and if he does a business, whether it's for 60 minutes or whatever, then, or he starts next Saturday at Hyde, which me and Steve are going to watch Basford against Hyde this afternoon, and we'll have a look exactly how they're playing because they've just been beating everybody out of sight. So that's going to be a tough ask, but it's something that we're looking forward to the challenge.
With Nathan's proven ability and experience, do you not think it's perhaps wise in some matches to have him from the start, or is his mindset perhaps not ready for?
I think because we've only played 1 forward, Steve, the last few, certainly starting with the Gainsborough game, he was never going to get in front of Cayman because of Cayman's movement. Because, you know, Nathan doesn't get about the pitches.
No, he doesn't. I understand that. But I mean, you know, as next goalkeeper, his goalkeeper was a nightmare because he's physical and strong.
Yeah,
and
without a shadow of doubt. So
it's
like all these players at the club.
Yeah.
They've got to take it with both hands.
Yeah.
They've got to take it with both hands because, you know, the position that we're in. I mean, just going back to, and I know I've mentioned Fletcher before, but if we were halfway now in the league with 10 games to go, I would try and plug quite a few of these young kids in to give them some games. But we can't afford to do that at this moment in time. You're right, we've got to look for experience, we've got to, any which way we can to win a game of football.
I don't know if you're a betting man, Dave, but what do you think the chances are of staying up?
I think the three teams around us, and league tables don't lie, I don't think they're gonna, I know two of them won last week, and it wouldn't surprise me if Atherton beat Gainsborough Trinity this afternoon, to be honest with you. I think we've got a great chance. If it's what we do, I'm not worried about the other three teams. If we can get a little run together, we will pull out of it, and we are getting stronger as the signings that are made is as stronger as a team. So listen, I'm confident, you know, and we will give it our last breath to stay up. So if for argument's sake, Baseford were handed another £5 a week, the chairman comes out and says, look, we are going to sign as many players as we can from whatever the league hire, it would make our job difficult. I don't think the three teams around us are going to be able to do that. Baseford had two straight reds last week, so they're going to be out for 3 games, so they're going to be 2 players down. So, look, I think out the teams that are down there, we've got the best chance.
Just on the back of a previous question about Nathan and a big centre forward, I came down and watched the under-21s, and I thought I was quite impressed. Those under-21s is not adult football quite. I was impressed by our front three, and one of the players who scored 2 of the goals was, I think, one of your first signings, was Lewis Porter.
Yeah.
And he's a big, tall lad. I thought he was very skillful on the deck.
Yeah.
Will he get a chance?
He, again, just for the question from Steve, if we were halfway now, Lewis Porter would probably play the, and this is no disrespect to Nathan Blissett, by the way, but what's Nathan, Andy? 35? 34. 34.
Yeah.
Bliss knows that he's coming to the end of his career, certainly at this level, you know, just like Jake Moult did, you know, and although you can't beat experience, you can't beat having legs in your team as well. Lewis Porter is a raw talent that is a project, really, but if we were halfway, he would be in front of Bliss to play. He might be in front of a couple of the others, but unfortunately, it's too much of a gamble. We will be getting him on the bench soon, and I think there's the other lad, Luke Tracy.
He's got the screamer that you missed, Darren.
He's another one. He's another one that, if you said to me in pre-season, you know, we've got them 2 lads down. They're both 18, 19. Both got so much desire to play football. If we could say one of them would come through next year, I would be more than happy. We'd have to I think we'd have to nurture them too. But the beauty of this Stafford Rangers is we are seeing some fruits of the work that's been done with the under-21s, and it's up to me to identify them players that have got a chance at this level.
Do you think any of those will make the bench on Tuesday?
Yeah, and I'd like to be able to give Lewis some minutes, and probably Luke. Luke wasn't fit, was he? He got a bit of a knock.
Got a knock. Yeah.
Because they actually could be the future of Stafford Rangers Football Club.
I mean, we've got 7 of them at the moment training regularly with the first team on forms as well. So there's other lads showing great potential. You know, you look at Max Barlow and Henry Burton and Miles Mawson, for instance, and not forgetting Jack Sandell.
Yeah, I agree, and I think when we threw quite a lot of them on when we played
Kidsgrove, that was deliberate.
We struggled, didn't we? So,
Yeah.
but I can see maybe introducing the odd one or so.
Yeah, you can't throw bits in at this level. In fact, let's say which I spoke about, the Stockport lad, or the Crew lad that's actually gone back now because he's got a problem with his groin. But even lads that are at pro clubs, it's so difficult to come at this level. Even the pro clubs will say, you know, it's a toss of a coin. I mean, the kid from Port Vale that we dropped on, who's got into the first team now, who played the 2 games.
Yeah. Yeah.
I went to watch him on the Saturday morning for the under 18s at Kids Grove prior to coming to this game against Lancaster. And there was another lad, Bailey, forget his surname, who's actually in the Port Vale's first team squad, plays, comes on, both of them 16 years of age. And I can remember speaking to Dale on the Thursday, and he was in agreement, 16-year-olds playing in this league, I don't think so. And I rung him after 20 minutes and said, listen, these 2 kids are good enough to play at this level. And unfortunately, Jack, having to play in the 2 games, and we got him all December, and we were going to have him again in January. Bale had 3 injuries, called him back, and he's been in the first team squad ever since.
Scored on his debut.
Yeah, scored on his. So, look, the old saying in football, if you're young enough, you can be good enough. However, it's so whether it's Port Vale, whether it's Crewe Alex, whether it's always down to the manager if you think at the end of the day they're going to be good enough for this level and for Stafford Rangers. But I've got enough contacts. It's just where we are at this moment in time. We've just got to keep trying to get these players into improve the team.
I've been on the team coach a few times away this season, and I've noticed a lot of the players, they don't talk to each other. I know it's a professional game, I know a lot of them are interested in money, and they've all got headphones on, and there doesn't seem to be much cohesion. I know we're at the bottom of the league. Cayman Anthony mentions had a rough couple of games. He hasn't really had to fall that often. Despite being at the bottom of the league, what are you doing to sort of, are they all gelling together? Are there some that are just not gelling in the team, or?
No, I mean, the players today are a different breed than they were 10 years ago. I mean, when you talk about, I don't know, 20, 30 years ago, there was a bit of a drinking culture with players. All these kids now that have come through academies, it's the headphones on, bottle of water, on the phone. I mean, look, we're all victims of being, I haven't picked my phone up for 10 minutes. Normally, you just look at stuff on your phone. It's a bad habit, actually, but and I think that's how they are today. There's no problem with any of them playing. In fact, dressing rooms of yesteryear, you would always have a bit of fisticuffs with players. You know, they'd have a go why they didn't pass the ball, or they're a different breed today. They accept things too easy, and I've actually brought this into my team talks where I've said, you know, if I was up front, Cayman, and no one's passed me the ball, or the service has been crap, I would be getting the play around the throat. I mean, Fergie had that with Ronaldo and Van Nistelrooy years ago when he's saying, I'm making these runs, and he's doing another step over and checking back. If you don't put the ball in the box, and actually Fergie jumped on Ronaldo because he knew Ronaldo was going to be top draw. So he just, hey, lay off the kid. They are a different breed. They sit and they have their headphones on and they do whatever. But look, they're all together in the dressing room. You know, like going back to the first, give me 11 Andy Burns, and he is quiet on the coach, by the way, but he becomes a warrior when he puts that Stafford Rangers shirt on. You know, and if we can get more like that, we'd be at the top of the league more than where we are.
Just one final point from me.
Yeah.
I've had enough now. Position close to my heart, goalkeeping. Now, with Cam, I've seen of him, he's one of the best keepers in this league. Without him, I think we've had some heavy defeats. But going forward, I mean, you know, Cam's no young goalie anymore, is he? So going forward, have we got strength in reserve in goalkeeping? Are we looking out for other goalkeepers? Or are we content with Cam being number one and he's not going to get injured?
I think you're right in what you say, Steve. Cam, and he's been around this level and higher.
Yeah,
his feet are very good, which is now a big thing with goalkeepers,
it is.
where he can control the ball, his distribution's good. We've actually had Ben Garrett training the last month,
Oh yeah, then go, yeah.
who played 30 times for Burton last year in League One, who's 30.
Ex-Crew goalie as well.
Correct, yeah, he's played 400 times for Crew.
Yeah.
Ben is available, so touch wood, if Cam did get injured or there was a problem, Ben would be his replacement. Pre-season, Ben would like to come to this club, which would be the competition then for Cam,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and so I 100%, I think the goalkeeper is one of the most important positions on the pitch.
It is indeed.
And I would say this, I think Cam's, apart from the Marine game, which anyone can have an iffy game, I think he's been as good as any.
He's good. I mean, he's a good shot stopper. His distribution's good. He commands his box. You can hear him shouting on the pitch. Not always the right choice words, shall we say, but he does obviously say his bit on the pitch. So, you know, he's an all-round good goalkeeper, but he's at an age, obviously, and barring injuries, where, you know, I think the club has to be looking at the next Cam, if you like, you know.
Are you going to make yourself available?
68, I do walking football, and 68 is enough for me.
I'd just like to add, Steve, that we've got 3 very, very good goalkeepers with potential now in the development squad.
Yeah.
Everybody's aware of Jack Sandell,
Yes.
and we had a meeting with Jack Sandell and his parents on Thursday, Dave and I, to discuss his development, because he'll get frustrated, but he needs to remember he's only 17 still,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And Jack needs to go out on dual reg, and probably next season that will be the route for Jack, because he'll need some adult games next year.
Yes.
He's still a member of our academy now.
Yeah.
We've also got a great lad in the under-21s called Tom Lowe, who's coming, only 18 years of age, looks very confident to me,
Yeah.
and got some great attributes. And the under-21s, don't know how they're getting on at the moment, they're away at Stourbridge, who are high up in the league, but the under-21s have really started to gel, and they're now 5th in their league, which was never expected, given that it was a brand new side at the start of the season. And then at the 18s now, we've got a 16-year-old in goal who's probably got your experience at the age of 16. He's a big lad called Zane Vegupt. Unbelievable guy. He's come into the 18s, and we've won 4 out of 6 under his tutorship. He's only conceded 3 goals, and 2 of them were penalties.
Yeah.
And he's got a great deal of potential, and that's part of my role, to develop these lads and get them into first team training and benefiting from being around Cam or Ben. So I think we've got that process, but I wouldn't suggest, a bit like Dave, that any of those we would throw into the first team at this moment in time.
No, not at all.
You know, and that's part of our duty of care, because Jack Sandell will say, I want to play, I want to play. Well, if we put a 17-year-old in against Hyde next week and we lose 7-0, it's going to destroy him. And that's something that we have to explain to both the player and his parents about. We're trying to develop him. But we've got some good blood in the club. Whether they ever make it, because you know what keepers are like, they don't really come through till they're 22, 23 at this level of football.
Yeah, it's interesting when I watch any match, whether it's here or I go to Telford sometime, it's the goalkeepers that seem to home in on first, like, you know, watching us. When I come to the match, I always go behind the goal watching Cam loosen up like training before the kick off. And you see
your earmuffs so you don't hear what
he says. I know his him on the pitch and that. Yeah.
But Steve, we are, you know, every position is. It's not like if something happened to Cam that you've got a panic situation. You know, we
I understand that. It's just the level of experience he's got. You know, barring injury, you've got to push week in, week out, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I wanted to speak a bit about Jake Mole. Unfortunately, with Jimmy O'Neill having a serious injury right at the beginning of the season, poor Jake had to play all season as central defence. And no disrespect to Jake, he was never a central defender, he had pace. Brilliant thing about Jake though, he was really good on the ball. Even in defence, if he had a bit of time, he knocked a good ball forward. And I'm going to go back to pre-season, because I saw a few of the pre-season games where Jake actually played in the centre of midfield. And he bossed the midfield with his range of passing, tackling,
he always seems to find, I know he's 34, but he seems to have the time and the vision to have a look around him. I know you signed Isaac Lee, which I hopefully will, with Ethan, you've got the central defensive pair sorted.
No, and don't forget Burnsy as well.
Yeah, yeah.
That'd be the three.
So with doing that, I was surprised that Jake didn't get a start in the centre of midfield, which is his natural position, and I know he's gone now, but I just wanted to know why that never happened, why he was never given a chance to play in his natural position.
First and foremost, Jake Moult has had a fantastic career.
Yeah,
He's been captain of Altrincham for all their success that they've had.
yeah,
He's a captain that probably has led by example, not vocal.
yeah.
And if you want the honest truth, I would rather have a Roy Keane captain than a captain that leads by example. However, we spoke about the kids today, and there's not many Roy Keanes around today that demand things off the teammates. If one does happen to fall in a lap, I would gladly take him.
Yeah.
So Jake, with all his experience, actually isn't very vocal. However, he's led by example. Now, Jake, if he was sitting in this room now, would tell you that he can't get about the pitch anymore. He would openly say that. Now, that isn't to say that he can't, you know, he's made a career out of getting the ball deep and passing the ball for fun. He can't get round the pitch, and I think he's done okay at centre halves in some games, but we've got to get better.
Yeah.
And it was a mutual thing when we had the conversation, and he felt that the career that he'd had, and he didn't want to be a bit part player anymore, which he knew that we've got to get better in if we've got a chance of surviving. And he didn't put any arguments against it. He knew that he, after Altrincham, he struggled a little bit at Buxton, so he's dropped again at this league. And, and like a lot of these players in the Stafford team at this moment in time, they can play to this level, but they can't play to the level often enough. And you can accept that with younger players because they're going to be hit and miss at times. And prime example to me is Connor Heath. On his day, or if you see him in training, you would think he was a Football League player, and then he goes out and he's so inconsistent. And unfortunately, that's why they're going to find themselves in and out of the team until if they ever find that consistency.
Talking about Connor Heath, what's his actual natural position? Because I know you're playing him on the left side at the moment.
Well,
Right.
we just said now, I mean, Connor's played down, he's played probably more down the middle than he has done on the left wing, cutting in.
Yeah.
I think Connor, when he's hot, he's hot. When he's cold, he's freezing. and he, again, which we had a chat with the board a few weeks ago. Unfortunately, when I put a team out here at Stafford, I know it's my life in their hands, and until I can get a team that I'm confident from 1 to 11 that I know that are going to give, I'm not saying they don't give the effort, of course they give the effort, but I know that I can be confident in the team, knowing that they're going to be a match for any team in this league. We're nowhere near there yet.
And what are you hoping to get out of the match?
Well, it will be, over the 90 minutes, it will be the strongest squad. We will be looking to bed the 3 new signings in. We're playing a different formation. Not that the lads haven't played this before, but it will be getting minutes into players' legs. Everything will be geared up for the Saturday game against Hyde. So it won't be used as a training game. It won't be used as, it'll be used as a proper game and getting minutes into players' legs ready for Saturday's game.
Dave, talking about formations, do you have a preferential formation that is your go-to formation? Because I don't understand exactly the formation that we're playing. It doesn't seem to suit the team. But you're talking about playing a 3-5-2. Is that your preferred in your experience?
Well, a 3-5-2 can be defensively a 5-3-2.
Yes.
you always try and play the best formation for the players that you've got. And with these two lads now that come in and that can play wide and wing back and more defensive, if you want, I think that will suit us. Now, again, players are more adaptable today than they've ever been, because if you go back 30 years ago, everybody played 4-4-2. Now everybody, there's different systems, 4-3-3, 4-1-1. You've only got to watch Match of the Day and there's a different shape. Pep seems to think that he wants to invent the wheel and he'll try. And then, unfortunately, teams in our league think they're Pep and they will play that system. We've got to play a system that's been the strongest for us. When we played Gainsborough, or when we played the second half against FC United, we changed it at half time by having two wingers pushing their fullbacks back. That worked. We continued that against Gainsborough, and it worked. We did it against Matlock, it worked. Then it's not worked, and for the simple fact is, unfortunately, the two wingers that we've got, Tyrese and Connor, will blow up and cold because of young players. So if they're blowing cold, we're down to 9 men before we actually start. And I want us to be tighter as a unit and take any risk element out, which we've seen in the last 4 games. I think I'm criticising myself. I think we've been too open. We've given teams too much slack, and games always open up second half. I wasn't here the game against Ilkinson. Obviously I'm listening to it and whatever. First half I think we gave as good as we got. Second half, when games open up, they picked us off. They picked us off actually from one of our corners, which can't happen again. You know, that was one. I think being critical of the team, we don't land on the second balls quick enough. Teams pick the second balls up better than us. So that is something we've been working hard on at training in the last couple of weeks. So even if we were top of the league, I would be saying we still need to improve on this, we still need to improve on that. Set plays we need to improve on. There's loads of things that we need to improve on. But collectively they're all together, and I think the shape now will suit us better and give us a better chance.
How has it been for you, like over the last couple of weeks with obviously no games, and being able to do more training sessions to get more of your stamp into the team itself? How's it been for you?
I think it's been a blessing in disguise, to be honest, that we haven't had these 2 games, because it gives us a chance to recruit a little bit, bed lads in. The session on Thursday night was excellent because we haven't played. I think because again these players, they all have the watches, they all know. They were all saying they've done between 7 and 9k of work. Just at training? Just at training. So what's that in mileage? Because I'm old fashioned, what's that? 6 miles? The door run. So individually, the door run 6 miles apiece. So fitness wise, and the lads were fantastic. You would not think that where we are in the table when you go and watch them lads train, or the camaraderie in the dressing room if you want. I know we've talked about it being quiet on the coach, but no. So, and they all believe that they're going to get out of it, and they're actually welcoming new players in. It's giving the other players the boost. So,
yeah, I don't know who this question's for really, but anybody. There's been rumours about the pitch being dug up and a plastic pitch being put in place. Is there any truth in that, or is it something we're looking for in the future? Maybe it's one for you, Andy. I'm not.
Yeah, I think I've answered this question before. We're in the process of going down that route, which, to be frank, if you look at more and more teams in our league are already done it, and I think a 3G pitch still gives the team that plays on it regularly a distinct advantage over teams who play on grass and don't do that. But I think from a financial and a commercial opportunity for the football club, and for Stafford Borough Council, by the way, we're totally in favour of our supporting the process. It's the way forward, unfortunately, because it becomes a focal point for the community in terms of all the teams that can come and train here and be involved. Not just Stafford Rangers. We've already been inundated with other teams like Milford and Baswich or whatever, Stafford Falcons who find facilities in Stafford hard to come by because it's under facilitated as a borough. So I would like to think that within 18 months that could be a distinct prospect. I think although John Haynes been involved with me and Andy Turner and Roy Sales, and we've had meetings with the Borough Council, and we're so far down the track, but there's a lot of bureaucracy, there's a lot of red tape, there's a lot of opposition, there's a lot of everything, as you can expect, that's going to be in front of us, but the process is underway. And I think, I'm a purist, I'd love to play on grass all my life, but I think if you look at where we are in the football pyramid, and where we're likely to be for the next, let's say, 5-10 years, we need that as part of the infrastructure of the football club, because it can generate so much extra revenue, which in turn we can invest in the social club, the buildings, and hopefully the football team as well.
I mean, we've only got to look at some of the teams in our league that's been the making of them. Let's say Marine, you know, I know they got a massive amount of cash from their FA Cup run, and the first thing they did was to put a 4G pitch down, and now I think that brings them nearly 200 grand a year by local. And I think if we got one here, and I know how it's happened at Nantwich, they've got two now. They've had the main pitch done, but it brings all the kids in, and the kids then become Stafford Rangers fans for the future because of playing on the pitch. So it works both ways. It is a win-win situation. If all the players were here today and I said hands up to play on grass, or I think two would put their hands up, they would rather play on a 3G. All the other lads would want to play on grass, but like Andy said, unfortunately, the way of the world and where we are, a 4G pitch would actually probably be the making of the football club, but it does take time.
But just on the back of that as well, it helped with costs as well, because I know we keep talking about all our junior teams. They have to hire another pitch somewhere else.
Yeah.
So imagine them all training and playing on there. In a way, it's not free, but it is free, and that saves us the cost of us hiring another pitches.
Well, we've been, because of how the weather's been, and keeping off our pitch, we've been going to Newcastle Town. Not their first team pitch, because that's grass, but they've had a development which you've spoke to, haven't you?
Yeah.
So we've been either having a half a pitch or a quarter of a pitch on a Tuesday night and training up there, which the facilities are fantastic. We've got a gym as well on there, so all the lads, and fair play to the dedication, they come in half an hour earlier to use the gym, to do the weights and to do whatever. Then we have the hour on the 4G pitch, and it's a lot easier for coaching because it's absolutely perfect conditions, and you're actually begging Newcastle Town to find a gap for us when we first booked it, before it was a block booking, because it's just out all the day. Even Port Vale, who are a football league club, who haven't got them facilities, they use it every day. So it's massive. It's massive.
And just ask, well, you mentioned 3G, 4G. What's the difference?
Well, it's the same.
It's the same. There's no such thing actually as 4G.
Yeah.
Oh right.
It's a 3G.
Yeah, it's a 3G.
It's a 3G pitch, but it's the fourth incarnation.
Yeah.
And there's differences in quality.
So it's 3G pitch, but it's Mark 3 or Mark 4.
Well, you
You
can have a hybrid one, which is like grass and astral knitted in together. So
which a lot of the Premiership sides have got hybrid pitches, you know, where it's a mixture, which is why they last so long. But there's basically two grades. We would need, I hope I'm not upsetting people here, we want a National League facility pitch laid here, which all the teams in the MPL have, okay, which gets passed by the FA and FIFA and approved, and that's the top quality surface that you can get. So it's the fourth generation. When you go down to step 4 or below, or leisure centre, they're putting down the lower quality grade, but actually you can use it more frequently, which these leisure centres do, till you get a situation like Sutton Coldfield, where the pitch gets condemned because they overuse it. So, you know, but if we were to put the lower grade surface down and then get promoted, you've got to take it up and put another one down. So you've got to think forward. I do think forward. I want us to be in the National League sooner than possible, and we need that facility to achieve it. And then if forever, it won't happen in my lifetime maybe, if we do get to the Football League, you've got to dig it up and put grass back down anyway. So, but let's only dream of that. Let's only dream of that.
Just a final question there. I think we've already alluded to this, Dave. But irrelevant if we stay up or go down, will you be here next season? Yes.
I would hope so. I would hope so. Listen, listen, I've said to Andy and I say to the board, if we stay up or if we went down, I would like to be here. If Altrincham come in for argument's sake, or any other football, I want to be at Stafford Rangers. That's my commitment. 100%. I don't care if somebody offers me 10 times the money or whatever. I want to see this job through. 100%.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great answer.
Ladies, gents, can I round it off there? Because Dave has literally got to get up to Baseford now, so